Hello everybody, my name is Degassi Dex and welcome back to the channel. I am reviewing first off Pokemon TCG. This was actually the first TCG I played, and that my buddy Squidly cards, I don't know if he's going to upload again, at least not for a while, but my buddy Squid, he got me into Pokemon, and this was the first deck that I got. It was a pre-made deck. It was a Palkia deck. I'm just going to organize it real quickly between trainers, Pokemon, and energies and stuff like that. I have a very good grasp on how this game works, so I'm not too worried about reviewing it with a rulebook or anything because I have played it, I have built decks for it, I understand it to a point, but I feel like I need to at least make a video reviewing this deck and then a deck that I made to get some of my points across. Well, I say points, but I mostly mean just, getting my likes and my dislikes across. So, of course, we got energies. Energies can only be played once a turn on one Pokemon, unless another card states otherwise. So, this deck comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Comes with 8 energies, which is actually a really low energy count for decks, for the most part. There's cards that work around this, obviously, and we'll see some of those eventually. This comes with supporters and items, and they all do various different things. We're going to separate the supporters and the items because there are rules that are important to know. Ooh, my brain don't work sometimes. Also, forgive me for how I sound. I am coming off of a sickness, and it's not great. Stadiums are also a different thing. I forgot about that. So, the first thing I want to go over is the stadiums here, mostly because it's a smaller stack and it's a little easier to get through. Also, forgive my camera quality. I'm working with what I got here. First off, we have Path to the Peak. Pokemon with a rule box in play have no abilities. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I had that so high. Let me turn that down to... There we go. That's better lighting. Okay. So, Pokemon with a rule box in play have no abilities. This is very good at shutting down things. Now, unfortunately, I think most, if not all of these cards are out of rotation by the time of this video. This is just a deck that, oh, I'm so sorry. That I had pre-built, and I want to go over pre-builts, mostly just to show that this is an understanding of how it's supposed to be. But, I've got my own made decks, and for the games that I haven't played before, we're going to make decks, which will be interesting. There's also the trainer court. Once during your turn, that player may put a basic energy from their discard into their hand. This is why one of the reasons it only has 8 energies. Both of these cards are permanent cards that will stay in play unless your opponent plays a stadium. Then it will be removed and replaced with their stadium. Either one of these is really good. This is detrimental to the deck in certain ways, not in every way. It's mostly to the Palkias and the Ice Rider. But you can still work around it. You're still mostly focusing on the damage, not their abilities. This is just good because of the low energy count. Then you can put in more items and supporters and Pokemon if you wanted. This is another good item. These are one-time uses, and there are few cards that can bring these back from the discard. So you have to make sure you have enough of these and you play them correctly at the appropriate time. Capsaceous Bucket. Search your deck for up to 2 water energies reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is just, if you're really needing energy, there it is. It's good. It's great. The Scoop Net, another one that all these item cards are one-time uses, but you can play as many of them as you want in a turn, and that's pretty great. Put one of your Pokemon that isn't a V or a GX into your hand. So as of the making of this video, that would be EXs, because Vs are also out of rotation now. But this card was made around the time when Sun and Moon was still available. The Quick Ball, one of my I don't really like the Quick Ball. I don't really like most of the balls except for Nest Balls and the new Terra Orb. Sorry, my dog's down there just she's trying to get comfortable. When you play this card, you can play this card only if you discard another card from your hand. This is one of the reasons I don't like it, but I can see how it's useful to certain people. Not me. I don't like to discard cards. If I can avoid it, I will avoid it. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon. It's a basic. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is another reason why I like the Nest Ball. It also gives you a basic, but you also don't have to discard, and I think it goes straight onto the field. You don't have to put it in your hand. Choice Belt. This is a tool card, so you will equip this to Pokemon. It's semi-permanent. It's as permanent as the Pokemon is. It will stay as long as the Pokemon that you attach it to is still alive. This Pokemon, the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active V or EX in today's terms. It's okay, in my opinion. Now, 30 extra damage is good all around, and this also does not say it is... Oh, wait, no, it does. Before applying weakness and resistance. So it will only give you a base of 30 damage, regardless of if you do more or less damage because of their typing. So it can either save you from your weakness attack, or it could give you just a slight bonus on your resistance. Rare candies. Rare candies, great. No matter what you say, rare candies are just the best. Rare candies let you skip from basic all the way to stage 2. Plain and simple. All this text it doesn't really matter. Just you skip from basic to stage 2, which means basics can only evolve after the turn you evolved it, and stage 1s are the ones you evolve it to traditionally, and then stage 1s have to wait a turn before they can become 2. But this just straight up says turn that basic into a stage 2, and you're done. It's great. Battle VIP Pass is a if you get it on your first turn. If you don't, it's a dead card. But it lets you search for 2 basic Pokemon, so you can have 3 at the start if you only have 1 with the Battle VIP Pass. But in my opinion, if you're going to do that anyways, you might as well mulligan until you get what you want, because it's just going to... If you're going to mulligan to get the Battle Pass, because it's a dead card unless it's in your hand, you might as well just mulligan until you get those basic Pokemons anyways, so... In my opinion, is meh. Evolution Instance lets you search for an evolution Pokemon. There are not many cards that do this, even now, so this is still a really good card, especially since it's an item. You can use it multiple times. We've already went over Capsacious Bucket. The Level Ball. Search your deck for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. This is good because even stage 1s can be below 90, or 90 in general. So it does help for the most part. You won't be able to find any Vs that will do that, or EXs that will do that, but Level Ball is not a bad one if you're trying to get stage 1s to get into your stage 2. Ultra Ball. This is another one where you have to discard, but you have to discard 2, but it lets you search for any Pokemon, which means basic, stage 1, or stage 2. Ultra Ball is one that I would consider in my decks if you have ways to retrieve the cards you discard. If not, you are playing high risk, high reward, which is never a bad thing if your deck is already playing high risk or high reward. Evolution Instance, Level Ball, Escape Rope. Now this I don't think is in the standard as of the making of this video, but Escape Rope is like a switch and a boss's order at the same time. You get to pull your active Pokemon out and replace it without paying its retreat cost, but your opponent also has to take their active Pokemon off and put whatever else they want to put on. So it could be detrimental, it could be helpful. It really just depends on what your opponent's support state is compared to what you're about to put out on the field. And you have to do yours before they do theirs. That's just kind of how it is. Palpad, regardless, this is important to know for these, but this will let you grab any 2 supporters, put them from the discard back into your deck. It is your deck, so it won't be your hand. It's not bad. It's actually really great, no matter how you look at it. We already went over the scoop net, so yeah. We'll look over the structure in a little bit, but we'll keep reviewing some cards. Supporter cards. Now these are a little bit specific. These have a rule box. So every supporter card you see, you will only ever get to use one on the turn that you are currently on. So, and if you're playing first, you can't use a supporter. They're usually really powerful because of that rule stipulation. And I think that is one of the coolest things about Pokemon. Giving you a little hint towards the future there. So Boss's Orders is you get to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. Now, a lot of the times when there is switching the active and bench of a opponent, it is not the player's choice whenever they cast a card. Or, sorry, Magic terms. Whenever you play a card, even certain supporters that even I have in my decks, yes, Boss's Orders would be a great, I'm trying to get this Pokemon out. But in this case, it's more of, like this one is a targeted. You get to choose. Most of them are just, your opponent still gets to choose. So this one is great if you are really wanting to make sure the threat dies on that turn. If you can deal with the threat, take the threat. If not, you could even just pull it in to be like, I know what you're going to turn this into, and I want to kill it. It's great. Irida, whoa. I don't think we'll ever get another Irida. She's great because you can grab any water Pokemon and any item card from your deck, and then you shuffle. You can only grab one of each, but it was so helpful in the deck that I made for Palkia that this card is like, if I play Expanded, it's going in all my water decks because it's just that good. Professor's Research, there's plenty of these. You discard your hand, you draw 7, and yes, that could mean this could be your last card in hand, and you just draw 7 cards. So, it's can be good in situations, but in other situations, if it's like your best play and you have, let's say, 5 cards, you're giving 5 to get 2, because you could draw the exact same cards, but in certain circumstances, I could see this being extremely powerful. Melanie, this is one of those cards where I'd say, where it bends the rules on the 1 energy per turn. Attach an energy card from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon V, or in modern terms, EXs, and if you do, you draw 3 cards. So not only do you get to play an energy from your discard, which this only has 8, so if you lose an energy, you're going to want to do that. But you also get to draw 3 off of it, which is just good and helpful all around in any deck possible. Roxanne, you can only use this if your opponent is halfway to winning, essentially. 3 prize cards remaining, halfway. You only get 6 prize cards. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck, then you draw 6 cards, and your opponent draws 2. This it's mostly helpful to you, but it can also be helpful to them because they will get to draw. Well, no. Okay, let me do that again. This is mostly helpful to you. It is detrimental to them. Drawing only 2 cards in this game, and having only 2 cards in your hand, can be bad. This is where Professor's Research would come in handy, because if they happen to draw a Professor's Research off of this, if it's 2 cards that they don't need, they Professor's Research, they get rid of 2 of them and draw 7, and now they're ahead of you, essentially. But still not a bad card. Then we got Leon. During this turn, your Pokemon attacks to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. This does not apply to weakness and resistance. So it just gives you a little extra damage. Money. Each player shuffles their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck. If either player put any cards on the bottom of their deck in this way, you draw 5 cards and your opponent draws 4. So if they have 0 cards in their hand, they can't do this. If you have 0 cards in your hand, after playing this Marnie, you can't do this. This is essentially the same as Roxanne, except it gives them 2 extra cards and you lose 1 card. It can be helpful. It also doesn't have the restriction of the prize cards, but that's why it's more evened out. Let's go to the Pokemons. The Pokemons, of course, Palkia V. For 1 water energy, you can go and grab any stadium, but that is all it does. You grab a stadium and you end your turn, and you shuffle your deck. 3 water, 2 water, 1 anything. That's what that little white is for anything. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack, but it does 200 damage on that turn. This is the Palkia V-Star, which is like an evolution, essentially. It's not quite an evolution, but it plays like an evolution. For 2 waters, it does 60 damage plus 20 damage for each benched Pokemon. This includes yours and your opponent's. So you are looking at a maximum of, let's say, so there's 5 on your side, 5 on the opponent's side. That's 100 extra damage. Ooh, what? No, it's got to be more than. Wasn't? Oh wow! I guess it is only 160 damage if you don't. I'm so used to doing the weakness attack of it that I didn't even think about it. But yes, it only does a maximum of 160, which is crazy. Now that I really think about it, that's not a lot, even in today's standards. Then we got Sobble. This is one of the cards that was kind of added by the person to be a utility card. It's not meant to be on the attack, but it is meant to be a utility for you. Search your deck for up to 3 basic Rapid Strike Pokemon. That's what this is right here. They have to have that, or it does not search for them. You can put them on your bench and then shuffle your deck. This is great for bringing out more Sobbles or even your Palkias if you needed. Granted, it has to be in the active spot, and you have to put an energy on this Sobble. Not something I would suggest unless you really need those basics. 2 of any energy, flip 2 coins. This attack does 20 more damage for each heads, and it does a base of 20. I want to get to a different Calyrex before I do the max one. I know it's in here somewhere. This is the evolution of Sobble, which is Drizzile. It has an ability, and this is where the utility really starts coming in handy with this evolution line. It has Shady Dealings. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during this turn, you may search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Now, trainer cards are either the stadiums, items, or supporters, and it can be any of those three. That's why it specifically says trainer, not item, supporter, or stadium. So you can look for at least one of those and put them in your hand, and it's good. It's really good. This is the evolution of that in Teleon. It also has shady dealings, but this one lets you grab 2 trainer cards instead of just one, which grabbing 2 instead of 1 means you can always grab an item and a supporter. You rarely want to grab these stadiums unless you think it's going to put you ahead. But grabbing an item or a supporter every time you evolve is great. It helps in so many ways. 1 water, 1 anything, does 120 base, and does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it kind of has a little punch through. It's not much. 20 extra damage on a benched Pokemon is nothing to like cheer about, but at the same time, 20 extra damage on just the 1 extra Pokemon could mean the life and death of your opponent. This Manaphy right here is one of my favorites. Prevent all damage done to your bench by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. I have no idea if this is in if Pokemon has a standard version of this now, but if it does, it could be very detrimental to the deck I will show you later. This is where I wanted to start. Calyrex Rider V. It has Pierce, which is odd because it doesn't do any Pierce damage. 1 water does 40. Then you got a 2 water and 1 anything for Glacial Lance that does 200 damage. And you have to discard 2 energies from this Pokemon. This is another Pokemon where it's like, okay, if you do have to use that attack, you're going to need to bring out the supporters or the items that let you get energies. We already went over V-Star, Drizzle, Sobble, Teleon. Radiant Greninja. It has concealed cards as an ability. You must discard an energy from your hand to use the ability, but it will let you draw 2 cards if you do. Then it has 2 water and an anything. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So you can choose any of them, and they both get 90 damage counters. We already went over Palkias, Sobbles, and here we get to Calyrex V Max. This V Max cards are woof. So we'll get over the rulings on those later. We won't get into the rulings on these, but because they're out of standard anyways, and I don't know if they're going to bring that back anymore. So we got Ride of the High King that does 10 plus 30 damage for each opponent's bench Pokemon. So like Palkia, but less so. It does far less damage, but it can still do something. Then it's got 2 waters for 10 plus. You may discard up to 2 energies from this Pokemon. If you do, this attack does 120 more damage for each card you discarded this way. So, again, not nearly as powerful as Palkia, but it can get the job done. Now, main rulings for making a deck is you can only have up to 4 of any card in the deck. Certain cards can only have 1, but this deck doesn't have any. Other rulings are supporters. You can only use 1 per turn. There is no restriction on typings, which we'll get into with my deck later. You could throw in anything in these decks. As long as you only put 4 of them and 1 of certain typings that can only have 1, you will be fine. You can do whatever you want to do in these decks. There's a lot to these. They're very beginner friendly in my opinion. But for now, after reviewing that deck, this just shows like a very this is supposed to be a winning deck, so it's supposed to win you games. That's how it's meant to be played. in my opinion, it does do that very well. I have played it against my buddy, and he has told me that it is very powerful, and I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. It is incredibly powerful. But that was essentially what it was supposed to be. So as you can see here, they've put three of the Palkias for the Sobbles, and only 3 of the Drizzles, and only 2 of the Inteleons. And then 1 of each Calyrex, the regular V and the V Max. They've only put 1 Manaphy. They've only put 1 Greninja. So they really are leaning on Palkia doing the heavy lifting, and Sobble to make sure that you can get the Drizzle, and if you can get a Drizzle out, hopefully you can get Inteleon out, but they're not overdoing it with Inteleon so that they can use other stuff, including Greninja and Manaphy, which are just kind of cards that are there to be helpful. These 2 are there to be, if you need the damage, you have the damage. Then, of course, you have the supporters. They have a good chunk of supporters. But if you notice, there are actually more items than there are supporters. Because while supporters are great, you can only use 1 a turn. So having too many of them could be detrimental to your deck. But having too many items is, well, that's how many items it is in actual comparison. But having more items to supporters, it's a-okay. Having stadiums is not necessary, but if you feel like you want it, you should go for it. Energies is really up to your deck and how you build it. But we are going to switch over to my deck just to show you where I've gone with my, understanding of the game, and we'll go over deeper rules in a second. Alright, this right here is my deck that I have made personally. I'm using Limitless Deck Builder. I find that the playtest seems a lot better on here. Let me actually organize that real quick. Okay, so again, we're going to go over a little bit of how the deck is and what my game plan is. So we're going to start with the energies. I put 11 energies because I want to make sure I have them. My game plan is somewhat slow, so I expect to be knocked out a few times. So I want to make sure I have enough energy to really keep up. As you can see, it is a grass deck with some little exceptions up here. One of my main things was this Grand Tree. I think the Grand Tree is very overlooked for what it can do. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a Stage 1 Pokemon that evolves from one of their basic Pokemon and put it onto the Pokemon to evolve it. If that Pokemon has evolved in this way, that player may search their deck for a Stage 2 Pokemon that evolves from that Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. That player shuffles their deck. Players can't evolve a basic Pokemon during their first turn or a basic Pokemon that was played this turn. So, it is not available to a basic Pokemon that was played that turn, but it is a way to get around evolutions on your next turn. So, the only one that's like extremely useful for this is Bound Sweet to Serena EX up here. But it will help my Combi to Vespiquen. But again, I'll get to those later as I start to get into my game plan. This is again what I was saying. The nest balls are just kind of better. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto the bench. Most of the time when you go to look for a basic Pokemon, you are intending to put it on the bench. So the Quick Ball, while sure, yes, it lets you get it onto it lets you get a basic Pokemon. It's not putting it on the bench, which if you don't want to, that's fine. But again, I don't see much reason not to. If you're grabbing a basic, you might as well be trying to put it on the bench anyways. I mean, if you can't, I understand. But again, nest balls, just better. Again, PAL pads. I have 3 of these. And that kind of the reason I only have 2 is because I have other ways to get basics, so I'm not too worried about it. PAL pads, because of my supporters. I love getting my supporters back just in case I need them. I have 3 energy recyclers, just in case my Pokemons do die. Because again, like I said, my game plan is slow, and I wanted recyclers because they give me back 5 basic energies from my discard, and that means as long as I use 2 of them, I can get back all of my energies except for 1. And I have 3, just so I increase my odds of drawing it. I've got bug catchers in here, which these are only helpful for drawing my grass energies and my Pokemons that are grass typed. The other 2 will not be grabbed with this item, but that is okay because I have ways around that in case in point with the next item. But the bug catcher here is similar to a water supporter, and I'm honestly surprised that it was given an item for the grass one. We have here a Terra Orb. This is what's going to grab me my finishers, specifically Vespiquen EX and Serena EX. These will search for any Terra Pokemon, and both of my finishers are Terra Pokemon. So that's why I put 4 of them in there, to increase my odds of grabbing those if I don't grab the other 2 in other ways, which I will show, of course. We got Ends Plan right here. I can move 2 energies from a bench Pokemon to my active Pokemon. This is important for this supporter is kind of, with this item, I just realized tool, my bad, Pokemon tool. This Pokemon tool says stage 2 Pokemon, this card is attached to have no retreat cost. That way I can retreat my active Pokemon, which is part of my game plan, and put my bench onto the active. And this, if I don't have energies already attached to it, I can move the 2 required energies from one to another. Then we have Brock Scouting. This is a new card from the Journey Together set, which I think more people should really look into because it's got really good cards in it. Search your deck for 2 basics or 1 evolution, reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle your deck. Again, if you're trying to evolve, if I don't have this Grand Tree out, because it is 1 card in a 60 card deck, if I don't have that, this is a really good way to get my evolutions out, or just 2 basics. If I need the 2 basics, there's 2 basics. If I need the evolution, I have the evolution. But again, Brock Scouting is more of the 2 basics rather than the evolution, because I also have Jacques, who lets me grab 2 evolution Pokemon and reveal them, put them in my hand, shuffle the deck. So this is more of the one I want when I want to evolve, and this is more the one I want if I don't have any nest balls. Perrin lets me reveal 2 Pokemon from my hand, put them into my deck, and then search for 2 more Pokemon. Or if I reveal only 1, I only grab 1. If I reveal 2, I grab 2. But this is another way if I've got cards that I can't play from my hand. It's very unlikely that I'll use these. We'll go into a playtest just to be sure, but it's unlikely that I'll have to use this supporter if I have a good game. If I don't have a good game, I might have to use this supporter just to bring up one of my Pokemon. This Rhyme right here is one of those supporters where it's similar to Boss's Orders. It lets me switch out my opponent's active with one of their benched, but I don't get to choose, my opponent gets to choose. And while that can be detrimental, if their game plan is already on their active one, they probably haven't set up on their bench yet. So if I can grab a benched one, and this also flows in my game plan a little bit, but it helpful. It helps my deck personally. Drawing 3 cards is just a bonus, but the fact that it also draws 3 cards is, in my opinion, it makes it better than Boss's Orders, in my opinion. Alright, so now we're going to get into my game plan. So, we're going to start with Combi here. Combi, very simple Pokemon, 50 HP, nothing grand here. 1 energy, heal 20 damage from one of my Pokemon. Not great. 2 energies, 20 damage. It's okay. But what it turns into, Vespiquen EX, it is a Terra typing of Psychic. So now it is no longer weak to fire, but it is now weak to darkness and resists fighting. Alright. So the first one, Healing Pheromone, heals 60 damage from one of your Pokemon. Alright, you get 30 extra healing points. That's not bad. Alright. 3 damage, Phantom Queen, 200 damage. This is straight to the active Pokemon. Then I can put 3 damage counters on each of my opponent's bench Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. And you might be thinking, okay, so this is only if you've ever attacked any of their Pokemon on the bench or done anything, right? Yeah, you'd be right. Alright. So you want to see my gameplay now, right? That's what you're saying. Like, okay, what's the game plan here? You're doing 30 damage. Okay, cool. But that's only if they have damage counters. That's you gotta do a lot of soda for that. Okay. Just give me a second. We're getting to Serena here. Alright. So now we got Balance Suite. This is the basic of the evolution line. Flip a coin, does 20 extra damage with a plus 10. Or a 10 plus 20 if you get heads. If you don't get heads, it's just 10. It's not great. It's not good. I mean, 60 damage to kill it. It's not much of a stall. That's not what we want it for anyways. Steenie, 90 damage to kill it. Yeah. But it does 30 healing on all of my Pokemon. That can be great. It can be helpful. Not necessarily something that I want. But, it's helpful. It's helpful in a way. And then 2 grass for 60 damage. Again, I might tweak this deck just because I might need some more supporter Pokemon. But we'll get into Serena here real quick. Serena EX, Icicle Soul. This is the move. It is 1 damage. Well, not 1 damage. It is 1 energy to do this move. 1 energy. Put damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon until its remaining HP is 30. This includes benched and active. So, that is already good. 2 energies, 180 damage, heal 30 damage from this Pokemon, and it recovers from all special conditions. This attack is helpful, sure. But this is where the game plan starts. So, my game plan is to bring out Serena EX as early as possible. Put damage counters until 30 HP is remaining on as many Pokemon that they have in play as I can. And then get my Vespiquen out. Hopefully get the 3 energies. This is where In's Plan and Big Air Balloon comes into play, because I'll put the Big Air on Serena because it takes 2 energies to retreat, but if I put the Big Air on it, it costs 0 energy to retreat. And then In's Plan says I can take those 2 energies and put them on Vespiquen. So, at minimum, I only need 3 energies on play, 1 on Vespiquen, 2 on Serena, and then I can get my game plan done. Because this will reduce everything down to 30 damage counters, and this one says I can just kill them all in one fell swoop. I don't even need their active to be 30 damage counters, because this does 100. This does 200. So if their active Pokemon is just happens to be less than 200, I can just instant kill them. Grand Tree could put this at risk. I may have to take this out and replace it with something else. But in my opinion, the Grand Tree is just really overpowered and helps me get early stuff. But now we move on to the playtest, where I go over major rules and other things. Alright, so now we are on to the playtest section of the game. This is Limitless's playtest. Hopefully going forwards I can get my buddy Squidly in here to actually build decks and play against me, but until then we're just going to do this because, you know, there's very little room for me to actually play these decks out in other ways. But I know some of the keybinds for this already, so we're just going to shuffle this deck. We are going to draw 7. Alright, so basic rules of the game. If you have no basic Pokemon in your hand, you have to mulligan. There is no exception, you have to mulligan. The only way this game continues is if you have basic Pokemon to play. If you have 0 basic Pokemon to play, as soon as your last one dies, game is over, you have lost. So, in this case, I have a Combi, but out of these, this might be helpful if I have a Bounce Suite in the top 7. So we have to really think about that, because I also have to take 6 cards off the top and put them in the prize side. Let me also make sure those are hiding prize. All right. So my thought right here is I really want to get Serena up on the board. So having a Combi out first and it being our only bench Pokemon is not very helpful in my opinion. So we're going to shuffle all back into deck, and we're gonna do a good few shuffles here, and then we're gonna draw 7 more. Alright, so now we have 2 Combis and a Nest Ball. So again, like I said, I don't really want to start with 1 Combi. 2 Combis and a Nest Ball means I can go and get my Bounce Suite and not have to worry about having 2 Combis, because this one can just set up in the active spot, which I'll do. This one can set into my bench. If you have the basic Pokemons, I would say just put them in your bench. Just do that. Then we're going to take some of these and put them in the prize cards. You will do 6. If you want to go higher in a casual game, or maybe lower in a casual game to just do a rush mode, go ahead. It's all up to you, but traditional and competitive, you will do 6 prize cards. So we are going to do it like it is my turn to go. If you do mulligan, and if you are forced to mulligan, your opponent gets to draw a card. So even if they mulligan, you will get to draw a card. We are going to assume they didn't mulligan. We're going to assume they just didn't. This is purely to just be like, how well is this deck going to perform if I'm constantly winning? You can do games where you're like on the downtrend, but personally I want to see how fast my deck can win if I play naturally. So it is our turn. We're going first, so we cannot play this Jacq. This Jacq is not playable on first turns. This is useless to us unless we play supporters. This is useless to us right now. But the energy is, and the Nest Ball is. So we're going to go ahead and discard the Nest Ball and search for a Bounce Suite. So we're going to do that. Close and shuffle. It should be shuffled now. We should be fine. We're going to put out a Bounce Suite, and we're going to go ahead and attach that energy to the Bounce Suite. Alright, so we're going to say we pass the turn, and then it comes right back to us. We will draw a card, and it is luckily a bug catching set. So we can now look at the top 7. We will do we will look at the top 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So any of these can come to our hand. So we'll grab this, this, and this, and we'll shuffle and close. So now we have 2 energies and a Steenie. And since we played the Bounce Suite last turn, we can now evolve into Steenie and put another energy on Steenie. So we're going to assume they went ahead and put a Pokemon in play that can. We'll say it does 30 damage. I like to assume they do low damage at the start. So we're going to assume it does 30 damage, and we'll go on to our next turn. Alright, so we got another Serena EX here. That's crazy. So we don't need Serena EX at the moment. Well, actually, no, we do need Serena EX. We're going to go ahead and evolve, and we're going to put an energy on this Combi over here. We're going to let this one die, and that will put us at a disadvantage. But, you know, I think it'll be okay. I think we'll be okay if this gets knocked out. We'll just let it get knocked out and see what happens. Do I need to use this? We're gonna use this. We're gonna look for 2 evolutions. We're gonna grab this one, and we'll grab this one just in case we can get another Combi, and we can use that Combi. Alright, so we're going to go on to the next turn. We're going to assume this got killed, and we'll make our Serena the new leader. So let's say they got 5 Pokemon out, right? They got 4 on the bench, 1 in the active. So if we use the first ability, let's say they're okay, there's no way to set that. That's crazy. So we're going to say they have 1 Pokemon. We're gonna attack this Pokemon up here. Like, just they have 1 across from here. It's going to be reduced down to 30 now. And let's say this Pokemon takes 60 damage. They evolved their Pokemon and now they're doing 60 damage. All right, so that's a little something there. All right, so we're now on our turn. We're going to draw a card. We're going to play a Vespiquen. Now, we don't have anything really to play at the moment. So one thing we can do is put an energy on Vespiquen, and then we won't have to worry too much about the Serena giving us energy. Especially since we don't have our game plan active at the moment. Doesn't really matter, though. Doesn't really matter. Alright, so we're going to now say that number 2 is now reduced to 30. So that's 2 Pokemon down to 30. Their active Pokemon is now an EX. We're going to say it did 120. So we were at 160. So we're at 180. Alright. It is now at a 180 damage. It is nearly dead, which is very threatening. So we're going to do that. Alright, we got another bug catcher set. We're going to use that. Cool. We got some energies. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. We were so close to the ends plan too. We're just going to go ahead and grab a Steenie just in case. And shuffle. We're going to attach this to the Vespiquen because we have the ability to do so now. And then we're going to put a damage counter on. We're going to do the kick, if I'm not mistaken. Heal damage, 30 damage from this Pokemon. Alright, so we will now reduce this by 30, so we're going down to 150. And this has 180 damage on it. So let's say it was around Vespiquen's. not great, not a good start, but we could potentially survive another because we're saying they're doing what 120 again. Uh, that's a low number, but it's a survivable number. It's not great. Oh look, it's playing. Nice. All right, so it doesn't help us right now because we're in the lead. I forgot to set the damage. We're doing 270 now. She's getting close to dying, but we're still fine. We can still set up for a game plan here. That's 180 damage. That's enough to kill it, we're going to assume. We get our Vespa Queen out. So we're going to do another Icicle Soul. Yeah, Icicle Soul. So now we have 3 Pokemon that can be knocked out. And then an EX that will... Oh, I forgot this rule. EXs say... when your Pokemon EX is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards. Basic Pokemon in certain stage 1s, you will only ever take 1 for them. But EXs cost 2. So, this one is about to get knocked out. So our opponent's going to have 4 prize cards left. But I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can get 5 on this next turn. And then the turn after that, I could probably win. So, we're going to say I used that. So now I have 4 Pokemon in kill range. So, this is going to get knocked out. So, we're going to discard all and put up our Vespa Queen. We're going to draw our card for turn. It is another energy, but our Vespa Queen here is already going to kill just about everything. So we're going to say we used its ability. That gets 200. So we're going to take this, and then we killed 3 more. So this, and this. But we'll say they had another basic out at least. They had another Pokemon out at least. So now they have an opportunity to come back. There is no second main phase. It is after you've done your Pokemon's energy attacks. That's it for your turn. It is now their turn. So now we wait for their turn. We'll say they did. Look at the card. There we go. They did 120 damage again. This puts us at a high risk play now. So we have to really know what we're leaning into right here. So I'm going to play my Bounce Suite and my Combi. I cannot upgrade either one of these at the moment because I still don't have my tree. And even if I did, I wouldn't be able to do that this turn. But I do have an energy, and I think the first play I'm going to do is put it here on Combi. Because if anything's going to happen, I'm going to do my Vespa Queen next. I can play a supporter, so if you'll put 2 Pokemon, put them in your hand. I don't need that. I really don't. So, at this moment, I'm not seeing much to play for my hand. There is also no maximum hand size, which is kind of nice. So as of right now, my main play is to just attack, and this will do no extra damage. It is just the 200, and like we said, we're saying it's 270, so we have to attack again, and if they attack us again, we're not in huge danger. So let's just say this turn plays out, we draw a card. We now have a rhyme, but we don't really care because now we're at 1 prize card, one kill remaining, because we are at 240. Ooh, not that much damage, 240 damage, and we can just draw a card, and now we have won the game. That's how playtesting goes for people that are trying to see how fast their game wins. Obviously, I forgot to press the button that counts up a turn, but I will have the turn counter put on here somewhere. Now, like I said, it's a slow deck, and even then, a lot of the cards become dead cards in hand whenever I get to a certain spot. I'm not looking to fill my bench up all the time. I don't need my bench to be full if it plays well enough, if I don't get knocked out fast enough. Now, I could put on some damage reduction items and stuff like that. I feel like I would need that at some point. But I like this deck. It plays really well. So, let me go to where I can pull up the major rule set, and I'll create a list of likes and dislikes about Pokemon. Pull up this. So, things we're gonna put like versus dislike. So, do I like how to win? Kinda. What do I like? Do I like six prize cards? I think prize cards are odd. I think life points do better. So we're just gonna say no. This is kind of just a given, and so like this and drawing out are just they're gonna happen no matter what game you play. Like if you don't have anything to put on the field, well, I don't like this. Let's say no to this too. I'm gonna say if you can't play a creature or something, you're not beholden to lose immediately. I don't want to be solely creature focused, so no standard stuff like to just have out on the field. Dog, if you could be quieter, please. Thank you. Drawing out is just a given in any card game. You could draw out. It doesn't matter. Typing, I would say 10 is possibly too many. Might be too many. I don't like how many there are. 10 in total is a lot to keep up with. It also has, again, no distinction other than that's just how the weakness and resistance thing takes place. So, again, this is just kind of it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I might add this. Having evolutions sounds pretty cool. Like, let's say, like, differently named cards can, and instead of having the enforced 4-card rule, we could do, like, if it has the same name, you have to alter the card, probably. I'm gonna put a might add by that because I'll have to come back to that. I'll have to look into that. Energy cost of actions. Energy cost of action. I worded that totally wrong. Attacks require energy. I'm gonna say no, because there's a difference between the cost of summoning a card and the cost of attacks. So this is saying you have to play energy cards on the Pokemon to even attack. And, I could do that, but I feel like that's very limiting and it's necessary for this game. But for the game I want to make, it's not going to be necessary. Oh, that's not the right button. Trainer cards, I like. Like this. Items having no limits. Sure. Yeah. Like it. Stadium permanents. Maybe not calling them stadiums. So something similar. Similar. I don't think that's how you spell similar. Okay, that doesn't help. Whatever. I'm a bad speller. You can roast me in the comments. It's all right. Tools or attachable Pokemon. Attachable to Pokemon. Again, something similar. Probably more like what's coming up in the Magic video, which I will be doing after this one, so look forward to that. If you are a Magic fan, I play a lot more Magic than I do Pokemon because there are more people that play Magic than Pokemon around me. Most people that play Pokemon around me are like dollars, so yeah. Anyways, supporters. I actually really like this. I will add this. So, supporters specifically, like, I'm gonna say with a twist of my own. So, I like it. I like the idea of a card that is really powerful, but limits any card like it to once a turn. Not many card games actually do this that I know of, so seeing it in Pokemon is incredibly cool, and I think it should be in more stuff. I intend to add this mechanic into my game and just have like really overpowered cards, like take board wipes from Magic. I know I'm getting into Magic territory on Pokemon, and it's crazy, but they're extremely powerful. They remove every card on the field, even your own sometimes, and they usually just have a high cost, but you could technically play more than one if you have the ability to. As for Pokemon, it's essentially saying you get to play that board wipe, but you can only play it once a turn, so make sure it's the right time to use it. So, I like it. I'm going to add it, and I'm going to add it in my own twists. Zones. I don't think these really matter. I might have this. The active zone. Anyway, I have some ideas, and I should also. It's either going to be before or after this. You'll figure it out in a minute. But I'm gonna jot down my basic ideas for the game, and hopefully have that out at some point. Bench. I'm going to say not like this. Well, I'm gonna say no, because I don't want to have like a backline of stuff that just kind of does its effects, and limiting it to 5. I think the limitations is good for this game. For the game I want to build, limitations shouldn't be necessary. Going forward, that might change, but for now, I don't want to limit what my players can play on their turns. Prize cards, again, we already said no to that, so that. Unique rules, must have at least one basic Pokemon in hand. I'm going to say no, because we want to have more than just basic Pokemons. Mulligans, I actually kind of like this. I like this. I like this mulligan rule. So instead of it putting you at a disadvantage, you're putting your opponent into a higher advantage. Now, I will have to figure out if I like the idea of a maximum hand size, because Pokemon doesn't have that. But for now, we're going to say no maximum hand size, and that you just can add cards to their hand if you mulligan. Dog? No, chill out. It's okay. You're okay. She's fine. She just knows when I call her dog that she should she should stop doing what she's doing. Right, dog? Never mind, she doesn't understand. Anyways, evolve. This is if I add. So if I do add it, I would definitely put the it has to last a turn stipulation. I feel like that's necessary. Even on other games, they have similar rules, and we'll get to those later. Active must pay cost to be moved from the spot unless a card states otherwise. Depends on how I do the spot in my game. That's how we're gonna do it. We might, if I do the active spot, it's probably gonna be a little different. So there might not be a cost, but if I do want to, I might. We'll just have to figure it out from there. Yeah. Abilities can be active or passive. I like this. This is just I like it. I like this. It's going to be added. Will be added. I think abilities are great. Some of them I'm going to have cost for, probably. Like in other games, like at least Magic. I know I keep bringing up Magic, but this and Magic are the only two I've actually played. So, but yeah, I do like having abilities, especially passive ones. Active ones are not terrible either, and I do want abilities that you have to pay for, not necessarily just attacks you have to pay for. Weakness and resistance. I'm gonna put this at a maybe. Depends on how I do my typings and whatever colors, whatever I do. Conditions. Some variation. I'm probably gonna have. Well, that's not how you spell variation. I'm probably gonna have special conditions. I'm just not sure yet. Turn order. Similar to this. Oh, okay, sorry. Similar. We'll say some changes. As for right now, this is how it's gonna look for rules. So I'm going to open up another. Wow, that's a. Sheesh. I'm gonna open up another one. We're gonna. There we go. Yoink, yoink. We got another. We're gonna put all of the. We're gonna put all the likes in first. We're gonna do likes from each game. Anything I don't like is not going to be put on the list. It's not going to really matter because I don't like it anyways. But as for now, likes, we're gonna put this in. All right, so likes. Let's see. Might have too many. That's fine. Might add. Okay, so evolutions. Number 2. We're gonna do. We're gonna do items. 3. We're going to do stadium of some type. We're gonna do tools of some type. probably going to change names a couple here and there. Supporter of some type. Now, when I say of some type, it pretty much just means a name change, and that name change could change it from, instead of stadiums, like planets, or we could go lands, countries, kingdoms. I have big plans, but I really need to figure out what kind I want. Like, fantasy and sci-fi are obviously the two biggest things I want to do, but fantasy is kind of overdone. Sci-fi, not so much, and I might do sci-fi instead. So stadiums could apply to planets if I do go that route. Tools may just be turned into gadgets or devices. If I do go the sci-fi route, if I go the fantasy route, it could be separated into several things like armaments, armor, which I think falls under armaments, spell books, and stuff like that. Supporters could, again be creatures, could be could fall under items, it could fall under spells themselves, it could just be like a whole array of things. So again, name changes are probably going to be the biggest thing that change exactly what the cards are. So just saying of some type, it means they're open for interpretation at the moment. Deck zones. Oh, zones. That's right. Zones we're not gonna worry about. Again, that's just something we gotta figure out. Possible active spot of some type. So we're gonna keep going, keep adding. We already did evolutions. Oh yeah. The mulligan roll. Let's do mulligan. Adds card 1 per to the opponent's hand. Ooh. We could make it. Ooh. I'm going to put in parentheses. Yep. Parentheses here. Might make hand size change with each. So, to explain what I mean there is, essentially, not only are you giving your opponent an extra card to play on their turn, but you are also increasing their hand size. So, if I do add a maximum hand size, I can say it will increase the more mulligan cards you received. It will increase per card you receive from your opponent's mulligan. So, let's say a base of 7. I think 7's a good number. Your opponent mulligans once. You're now max hand size 8. Say they mulligan 3 times. You're now max hand size of 10. So it forces your Now it also helps your opponent, but it also forces you to say, okay, do I have a good hand, or should I give them a permanent advantage to hopefully have a good hand of myself? Now that might be a little too aggressive, so for now it's a possibility and not a set in stone. So we're just gonna, and then I already did active spot of some kind. I don't know why I'm trying to add that again. Evolving can't be done on the same turn unless otherwise stated. So that is definitely a rule that I need in. If I'm going to do evolutions, I definitely need that rule that you can't do it the same turn. You gotta give it a moment. You gotta wait a little bit. Let's see. We're not gonna worry about the cost of the active thing because that really depends on how we do the active spot. So that's a minor rule that applies only if that rule comes up, or only if that spot really is that way. Which I don't think I'll do that. Just because I don't want you to attack with only one creature all the time, but we'll figure it out. We'll see. I got other games to look at. Let's see. Abilities have to have abilities. Both free and ones with cost, because abilities would essentially just be a catch-all of it does something whenever something happens, or if you choose to make it happen. Probably the ones that we choose to make happen will have costs, and the ones that are just going to be reactive are just something that will come up eventually. Like, as long as you're planning for it, it should hit. All right. So we've gotten to weaknesses and resistances. Possibly. Possible. Weak and resist. We're not gonna go too in depth with that because I don't know if I'm gonna call them colors or typings. We're gonna have color coordination, but we'll figure it out. Again, a lot of naming issues we gotta get around. It'll help when I start pinning some of these things down, and it'll be more cohesive. Conditions. We're gonna put little parentheses. Burn, poison, etc. Might come with types if might come up. That might come up. We might use conditions. I have no idea if I'm going to do that just yet. I feel like that could be a little too much. I don't know. Turn order. We'll have to come up with. So this is what we're taking away from Pokemon. Evolutions. We'll full screen this. We're going to do some evolutions, items, stadiums, like planets or something, maybe tools. We could some kind of item, some kind of this supporters would have essentially just be like game changers or something. That might just be what it is. Active spot, maybe like a commander, like from, Magic's commander, but maybe something a little different than that too. We'll get to that in the Magic section because I'll have commander and standard to go over, and it's a lot. It'll be longer than this video, that's for sure. Mulligan, I do like this mulligan rule. This is 100% staying. This part may not, but this part is. Evolving, same turn. If we are evolving, then this has to stay. This is just a balancing thing, and I think it's just important to have if you're going to evolve. Abilities, costing and being free, I think that is just something I should have. It's too good. I mean, every card game has this. Technically, there's even cards that don't have abilities; they just attack. It's kind of a given in card games too. Possible weakness and resistance. I'm not sure if I want to add weakness and resistance. It really depends on how I do card types or whatever. We'll just have to see for now. Conditions. Again, it comes up with weaknesses, resistances. I will have to play into those possibly. I might not have to, but I kind of want to if I'm going to. So we'll see. But for now, this is where we've gotten. This is how we're going to do it. I know this is probably not super, great for a video or whatever. I might do streams of these at some point, like actual games and stuff. But for now, this was me going over Pokemon, going over rules and stuff. I got through this a lot quicker than I will probably other games. Magic is also going to go slow but fast for how much we're going to go over, because I've got to go over a lot in Magic. As for Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, and Lorcana, which I have stuff ready to go for those, I'm going to be working on them eventually. Those we're going to go a little slow because I have less information that I already know about them. Flesh and Blood is another card game that I have less information, so they're going to go a lot slower. Streaming might be the way to go for these, but we'll figure it out. I hope you did enjoy the process of me going through these. If you have any suggestions, if you think I should have added a certain rule, or maybe I should remove a certain rule, let me know. I will gladly take the advice. I want to make this fun, not necessarily for everyone, but fun for the majority of people that ever try to pick this up. Take advantage of certain things that maybe, like someone from Yu-Gi-Oh, they don't like this about Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe they can pick this up and it feel good, but then they can also translate that to Pokemon or Magic or something like that. But a lot of the TCGs are vastly different, and I want something that's kind of a melting pot where it's like you can come from anywhere and this is it. But obviously I took a lot out of Pokemon, if you couldn't tell, so it's not a lot like Pokemon, but it might have some resemblance to Pokemon. That's what the key thing is. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If not, press the dislike button. It'll help. Goodbye.